What makes a musical legacy powerful enough to outlive the people who created it? That's the question at the heart of the story connecting Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and one of today's most respected drummers, Anika Nilles. For decades, Rush built a reputation unlike any other rock band. Their music challenged listeners with complex rhythms, thoughtful lyrics, and fearless musicianship. At the center of that creative force was Neil Peart, whose drumming and songwriting helped redefine what a rock drummer could be. Alongside him, Geddy Lee's unmistakable voice and bass playing, combined with Alex Lifeson's inventive guitar work, created a sound that inspired generations of musicians around the world. When Neil Peart passed away in January 2020 after a private battle with brain cancer, many fans believed the Rush story had reached its final chapter. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson both made it clear that Rush, as fans knew it, could never continue without Neil. They repeatedly emphasized that he was irreplaceable, not just as a drummer, but as a close friend and creative partner. Yet something unexpected happened in the years that followed. Instead of trying to replace Neil Peart, Geddy and Alex began celebrating the music they had created together while remaining open to new musical experiences. Their performances at special events showed that the spirit of collaboration was still alive. Rather than recreating the past, they focused on honoring it. At the same time, another remarkable musician was gaining worldwide respect. German drummer Anika Nilles had already built an international reputation through her original compositions, educational videos, and extraordinary technical skill. Unlike many drummers who simply copied Neil Peart's style, Nilles developed her own musical voice while openly acknowledging the influence that legendary players, including Peart, had on her journey. That approach earned admiration from fellow musicians because it reflected something Neil himself always believed. The greatest tribute to your heroes is not imitation, but finding your own identity. As Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Anika Nilles' musical paths began to intersect in recent years, fans started noticing something remarkable. The connection wasn't based on replacing a legend, it was built on preserving the values that made Rush special in the first place. To understand why Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Anika Nilles are connected, you first have to understand what made Rush different from almost every other rock band. From the beginning, Rush refused to take the easy path. While many bands chased radio hits, Rush embraced musical complexity. Songs like Tom Sawyer, Limelight, and YYZ became classics not because they followed trends, but because they challenged listeners with intricate arrangements and exceptional musicianship. Neil Peart was at the center of that philosophy. He practiced relentlessly, constantly studying new techniques and even reinventing his playing style during the 1990s, after taking lessons from jazz drummer Freddie Gruber. Despite already being considered one of the greatest drummers in rock history, Neil believed there was always more to learn. That lifelong commitment to growth became one of his defining qualities. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson shared the same mindset. Throughout Rush's career, they welcomed experimentation instead of repeating the same formula. Whether incorporating synthesizers in the 1980s or returning to a heavier guitar-driven sound years later, they continually evolved rather than relying on nostalgia. That attitude is one reason Rush continues to influence musicians across multiple generations. Anika Nilles represents that same spirit. Long before working alongside Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, she had earned international recognition through her original music and educational performances. Her drumming combines technical precision with creativity, unusual rhythmic ideas, and deep musicality. Instead of becoming known as someone who simply copied famous drummers, she built a unique style that is immediately recognizable. That independent approach mirrors the values Neil Peart championed throughout his career. He admired musicians who respected tradition while pushing music forward in their own way. Although Neil and Anika never had the opportunity to collaborate, many fans see similarities in their dedication to constant learning, discipline, and artistic honesty. As Geddy and Alex looked toward new musical adventures after Rush, those qualities became increasingly important. They weren't searching for someone to become the next Neil Peart. They wanted collaborators who could bring their own ideas while honoring the musical standards that Rush had always represented. That search would eventually lead to a collaboration that surprised longtime fans and revealed that Neil Peart's greatest legacy wasn't simply his drumming. It was the culture of excellence he helped create. a culture that continues to inspire everyone who becomes part of its story. By the early 2020s, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson had made peace with an important reality. Rush would not return as the band fans had known for nearly 5 decades. Both musicians consistently stated that Neil Peart was irreplaceable, and any future projects would have to be something entirely different. That opened the door to new creative possibilities. Around the same time, Alex Lifeson began working with bassist Andy Curran on a new project that eventually became Envy of None. Rather than trying to recreate Rush's signature sound, the band explored atmospheric rock, electronic textures, and modern songwriting. It was another example of Alex choosing artistic growth over nostalgia, a philosophy he and Neil had shared for decades. Meanwhile, Geddy Lee remained deeply connected to music through his memoir, public appearances, and occasional performances with fellow musicians. Whether at tribute concerts or special events, he continued to celebrate Rush's legacy without attempting to replace what had been lost. Then came one of the biggest surprises for Rush fans. As plans developed for Alex Lifeson's 50-something project and live performances, Anika Nilles became part of the lineup. Her selection immediately sparked excitement throughout the progressive rock community. Fans who had followed her career already knew she possessed extraordinary technical ability, but what impressed people even more was her musical judgment. Instead of trying to imitate Neil Peart's famous drum parts or stage presence, Anika approached the music with humility and respect. She understood that Neil's legacy could never be duplicated. Her role was to contribute her own musicianship while honoring the spirit of the songs. That decision reflected something Alex Lifeson has often valued in collaborators: authenticity. Throughout his career, Alex has worked best with musicians who bring their own personality rather than copying someone else's style. Anika fit that description perfectly. Fans quickly noticed another important detail. The chemistry between Alex Lifeson and Anika Nilles wasn't built on replacing the past. It was built on creating something new, together. Every performance became a reminder that great music evolves without forgetting where it came from. In many ways, that may be the most meaningful tribute Neil Peart could receive. Not a carbon copy of his drumming, but a new generation of musicians carrying forward the same commitment to creativity, excellence, and fearless musical exploration. Remarkable parts of this story isn't just the music, it's the friendship behind it. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson have known each other since they were teenagers growing up in Toronto. Long before Rush became one of the world's most influential rock bands, they were simply two friends who shared a passion for music. When Neil Peart joined Rush in 1974, the chemistry between the three musicians was immediate. Over the next 4 decades, they built not only an extraordinary career, but also a friendship based on mutual trust, respect, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. That bond was tested in ways few people could imagine. Neil retired from touring after Rush's final R40 Live tour in 2015, largely because the physical demands of performing had become increasingly difficult. Even then, Geddy and Alex respected his decision completely. Their friendship always came before business, and they agreed that Rush could not continue without all 3 members. Neil's passing in January 2020 was a heartbreaking loss for both of them. In interviews since then, Geddy and Alex have spoken openly about the grief of losing not just a bandmate, but one of their closest friends. They have also shared how difficult it was to imagine making music together again without him. Yet music has a unique way of helping people heal. Rather than trying to recreate Rush, Geddy and Alex slowly found themselves enjoying opportunities to perform, collaborate, and reconnect with other musicians. Every appearance became less about replacing the past and more about celebrating the joy of making music together again. That's where Anika Nilles' role became especially meaningful. She entered this story with a deep respect for Rush's history, while fully understanding that Neil Peart's place in the band's legacy could never be filled. Her professionalism, musicianship, and fresh perspective allowed new performances to honor the past without pretending nothing had changed. For longtime fans, that balance has been incredibly important. They aren't watching someone step into Neil's shoes. They're watching gifted musicians come together with honesty and respect, keeping alive the spirit of exploration that Neil helped create. In many ways, the true legacy that unites Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Anika Nilles isn't a particular song or performance. It's the belief that music should always inspire curiosity, growth, and collaboration.